family has asked us to announce that following this service, interment will take place immediately at Mount Olive Cemetery, after which the family will be returning to Executive Caterers at Lander Haven, where they will be receiving calls of condolence until 4:30 in the afternoon today only. The contributions in memory of Fran are suggested to the Menorah Park Employee Fund or to Temple Emmanuel.
Shivite Adonai lenegdit amid mimini balemot. Shivite Adonai lenegdit amid mimini balemot. Lachen samach limi vayangel kevodi af besari tishkon lavetach.
Francis Kleinman, Fega Tzipora Badaharon Vizlota, daughter of Jenny and Harry Flax, is missed and mourned by her daughter Judy and Denny, by her grandchildren Aaron and Darcy, Noah and Jen, Julie and Jeremy, Brian and Katie, Karen and Andrew, Jeffrey and Abby and Caleb, by her great-grandchildren Dylan, Caleb, Mila, Bennett, Grayson, Leo, Daniel, Ella, Eli, Naomi, and Aiden, by her daughter-in-law Karen, by her nieces and nephews, and her many, many friends, along with all of those who were blessed to have her life touch ours. She was preceded in death by her parents, by her husband Bennett, by her son Lee, and by her sister Leah and brother-in-law Joe.
Mizmor David, Adonai roi lo echsar, vinod Hashem yalbitzeni, al mei menuchot, yenaleni, nafshi eshovev, yacheni b'magalei tzedek, leman shemo, gam ki elech ben-geit salmavet, lo yara yatai madi, shitecha urishantecha, emoy enachamoni, tarok lefanai, shulchan neged sorenai, vishanta vashemen roshi, kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed yedifuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim.
God is our shepherd, we shall not want. God causes us to lie down in green pastures. God leads us beside still waters. God restores our soul and guides us in the straight paths for the sake of the divine name. Even when in moments such as this, when we walk in the valley of the shadow of death, we fear no evil. You, God, are with us. Your rod and staff comfort us. You prepare a table before us in the presence of our enemies. You anoint our heads with oil, and our cup overflows. Ach tov v'chesed yildafuni kol yemei chayai. Surely goodness and mercy will follow us all of the days of our lives. We will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, dayan hamet, Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, the righteous judge. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. The prophet Job teaches us that God gives, but God then takes away. And through it, we praise God's name.
Of things I should be thankful for, I've had a goodly share. And as I sit here in the comfort of a cozy chair, my fancy takes me to a humble east side tenement, 3 flights up in the rear to where my childhood days were spent. It wasn't much like paradise, but in the dirt and all, there sat the sweetest angel, one that I fondly call my Yiddish mommy. I need her more than ever now. My Yiddish mommy, I love to kiss that wrinkled brow. I long to hold her hands once more as in days gone by, and ask her to forgive me for things I did that made her cry. How few were her pleasures. She never cared for fashion styles. Her jewels and treasures, she found them in her baby smiles. Oh, I know that I owe what I am today to that dear little lady, so old and gray, to that wonderful Yiddish mommy of mine.
We will begin our memories of Frances with her granddaughter, Julie.
My grandma, or as her grandkids called her, Mama Faggy, was a very special lady. My absolute most favorite thing about her was her cards. I looked forward to checking the mail around the holidays and searched for them. She sent them for all the holidays, including Valentine's Day and Halloween, to congratulate an achievement, or occasionally just because. The cards were always signed with love and kisses, with lots of exclamation points. I always enjoyed admiring all of her beautiful tchotchkes and Judaica, much of which came from my mom's store. Faggy had such great taste, and I am so grateful to have some of the pieces that she had adorned her homes with. She was so very generous. She gave all of her grandchildren crystals from her Swarovski collection. She handed down much of her fine jewelry, and she even gave me a bracelet that she often wore, simply because she knew that I adored it. She delighted in the happiness produced by her generosity. Perhaps my most treasured piece is one that she didn't actually give to me. When my mom had her first baby, my brother Aaron, Faggy gave her this. It's a charm of a little boy. When I had my baby boy, my mom handed it down to me. How lucky am I to wear such a dear reminder of her so close to my heart every day. Some other fond memories include her hosting the occasional Shabbat dinner. This is the way the ladies ride. Dining on pancakes during our trips to Florida. Denim blouses. Watch your kepi, which I find myself saying often these days. And her love for animals, Swarovski crystals, Judaica, and decorating. Anyone that had the pleasure of knowing her knew how much she loved to talk. She had a way with words and a love for crossword puzzles. She would jump at the opportunity to correct grammatical errors, and she relished the occasions where she could teach you a word in Yiddish or two. When I lost my first grandparent, her husband Bennett, I wrote and read a poem. For you, Mama Faggy, my last grandparent. I will read a poem you loved, written by Mary Elizabeth Fry. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's rush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds and circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die.
Fran gave us some very explicit instructions about this moment. She wrote them out in her very elegant script. The eulogizers were warned that if we went on too long, she would come back and haunt us. She selected My Yiddish Mama and Jerusalem of Gold, which we will hear in a few moments, to be done and sung to remember her by. We all know that Fran had that gift of gab. She called up her child, she called up Judy, and the answering machine only gave you 3 minutes. The first message would start out, "It's your mother." The tape would stop. She'd call back, "I'm not done yet," and continue, and that would go on several times. Occasionally, she would blame others, including her late son Lee, and say that she was late calling you because he wouldn't let her get off the phone. But regardless of who initiated or who kept the conversation going, she always ended every conversation with "I love you." She was a no-nonsense spitfire of a strong woman. But my words are not necessary right now. In 1970, when Frances was honored by Israel Bonds, our founding rabbi, Rabbi Alan Green, Alav Shalom, wrote this about Frances, 1970. Temple Emmanuel wishes to express its affection and esteem for Frances Kleinman, a builder of Israel, a keeper of its vineyards, planting trees and love into its soil, an eloquent, impassioned spokesman, before feminism, in fact, Fran herself called herself a spokesman, for its right and its defense, a whirlwind gatherer of resources for its Jewish National Fund, a fantastic student of its Hebrew language and a devotee of Yiddish too, a homemaker to be within the borders of Israel, a loving, exciting daughter and devoted sister, an inspiring mother, contributing a sample of each sex, Lee and Judy, each charming, involved, knowledgeable, a wonderful partner in life, love and humor, to a great mate, Bennett, who was likewise devoted to the building of Israel and every Jewish cause, and through it all, a communicator par excellence of life's enthusiasms to all who know her. These were Rabbi Green's words. She loved classical poetry, and as you heard, the English language. She wrote odes to friends. She would write a thank you speech in rhyme. She did crosswords. She loved books, particularly about the Holocaust, the Middle East, and politics. She loved music and opera, and had over 1,000 CDs. Together with her late sister Leah, they would sit and watch news broadcasts and correct the grammar of the deliverer. She was with us for 96 years. Her father, Harry, was a paper hanger, her mother a homemaker and great cook. She was brought up in the Arbeiterring, the workman's circle. And so her name, her given name, was Fagi, a Yiddish name. And she was devoted to Yiddish. She helped start a Yiddish-speaking group. She wrote poetry in Yiddish for her parents' 50th anniversary. She not only spoke Yiddish, but she could write poetry in it. And she went on to become the valedictorian at her junior high school at Empire and salutatorian at Glenville High School. She was Eliza in Pygmalion. She was in the National Honor Society and wrote for both school newspapers. She met Bennett, we believe, as they were both working for the M&M Cigar Company. They married in 1944 and had 54 wonderful years, ended by his death in 1998. Francis had this workman's circle background, socialist, communist, not exactly observant. Bennett was Orthodox, so in 1957 they joined Temple Emmanuel. And the family we are still blessed by having her daughter, her grandchildren, and great-grandchildren as active members of our congregation. Frances loved to entertain. She was a fabulous cook. She loved to do breakfast. She would do buffets for 90 people or more, and the hors d'oeuvres the appetizers were always accompanied by butterfly crackers. To Lee and to Judy, she was a mother who was always present, who didn't scold you or lecture you, but would tell you stories. And from her stories, you got the message as to what you should or should not be doing. Lee was adopted and always wanted to have a little sister. Several years later, Bennett and Fran got the message through an army buddy of Bennett's that there was a little girl available, Judy, who describes her adoption as a total blessing. A total blessing. Her parents made her go to the special Hebrew, additional Hebrew at Temple School. She was the only girl in the room until she conned her friend Marla Krasny, now Marla Taub, into coming with her. Judy and Fran would go out to lunch. They shared each other's secrets. And Judy has said that for herself and her brother, who Fran adored and championed, that even though they were not the products of her womb, they were most certainly, and perhaps more importantly, the products of her heart and her soul. Now, Frances made a transition. She grew up in a Yiddishist environment, but at the age of 40, she started studying Hebrew. And the study of Hebrew went along with an active interest in Zionism and in support for the land of Israel. And somewhere along the line, instead of calling herself Fagi, she started using Tzipora as her Hebrew name. And for those who are familiar with that era and that type of history, it was common for someone who grew up with a Yiddish name to then translate that name into Hebrew and adopt the Hebrew as opposed to the old country's Fago, although she continued to be known by both, as you heard, and she will be called by both of those names today. She was active in Jewish National Fund for 30 years, was president of the Women's Division for 5. She was honored by them. She and Bennett were honored with the Tower of David Award from Israel Bonds and honored by Magen David Adom. The booklets, the programs for those events, the chair people, the co-chair people, the honorary chair people are a listing of who's who, excuse me, Fran, who's whom, in not just the Cleveland Jewish community, but in Cleveland civic life as well. She was very proud of the fact that she was a part-time homemaker in Israel, and that was the way she characterized herself. They had an apartment in North Tel Aviv for 39 years, and Fran and Bennett spent 2 months a year there. They would be visiting. There would be time for them to be together, visiting with each other and, of course, with their friends. She was bat mitzvah with her friend Ronnie Milter at age 55 in a Reform congregation in Tel Aviv. And then, of course, many people remember the Kleinman caravans. Bennett and Fran took their love of Israel and their activism for Israel to others and dragooned them onto trips with friends and relatives, but then made them lifelong Zionists as well. And the group would typically, come back and raise money for a Magen David Adom ambulance or some other thing. She took her family as well, Aaron's bar mitzvah at the Kotel, the 2006 family trip that they took together. She was always involved, and she was always fundraising. In her own words, she said she was always a schnorrer for good causes. And she wrote that she felt the best way to fundraise was by having people over for lunch or dinner. And according to Fran, again, her own words, she said the best way to people's pockets was through her tzimmes. Just as Fran loved to talk to us, it was very hard for her to say goodbye at any time. Over the past few months, we saw her fading away from us. And last Shabbat, it was time to say goodbye. She lasted a little longer, and Judy visited her every day. Judy said, "Mom, I love you." And Fran's last words, as she ended every phone call and every discussion, was, "I love you too." Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the memory of the righteous indeed be a blessing.
Avir harim salut kayayim vereach oranim nisa beruach arba'im im kol pamonim uftar demot elan va'even shvuya b'chaloma ha'in asher badan yoshevet Uvli b'choma Yerushalayim shel zav v'chel nechoshet v'shel or Alo lechoshirayich ani kinor Yerushalayim shel zav v'shel nechoshet v'shel or Halo lecho shirayich ani kinor Ach bevoi hayom lashir lach Velach likshok tarim Katonetim mitzir banayich Umeacharon hamoshorim Kishemech tzoref et hasifatayim Kin shikat saraf im eshkachech Yerushalayim asher kula zav Yerushalayim shel zav v'shel nechoshet v'shel or halo lechoshirayich ani kinor Yerushalayim shel zav v'shel nechoshet v'shel or halo lechoshirayich ani kinor kinor.
Please rise.
Shochen b'meromim Ha'metzei menucha nechona Tachat kanafei השכינה, במעלות, קדושים וטהורים, גזור כי המאזינים, את נשמת פגע ציפורה, בת אהרון וצלותה, שהלכה לעולמה, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה. אנו הרחמים, אז תהיה ושאת כנפיך לעולמים, וצנוע החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח ושלום על נשכבה, ונאמר Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Frances Kleinman, daughter of Jenny and Harry Flax. She has now gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, may she find perfect peace in your sheltering embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May she now rest in peace. And we say, Amen.